All right, so go ahead and get started. So hi everyone, I hope you all are doing well and ready for another exciting meeting at the Future Leaders Gavel Club. My name is Claire and it is an honor to be your current club president, and I would like to officially call this meeting to order. I would like to extend a warm welcome to all of our guests, and we sincerely hope you all will enjoy and learn from this experience. The Future Leaders Gavel Club is a Toastmasters club open to middle and high school students, in which members are empowered to develop communication and leadership skills, resulting in greater self-confidence and personal growth. Each meeting will have 3 parts. First is the prepared speech section. Second is the table topics or impromptu speaking section. And finally is the evaluation section. So today's meeting is a little bit special. So we will still have our 2 speakers as usual, but at around 30 minutes later, for the last half hour of the meeting, we will actually be having Selina join us for a brief workshop. She might spend maybe around 10 minutes talking about herself and her college experience. She, I believe, recently graduated from NYU. And then you guys will have plenty of time to ask any questions to Selina. So if you have any questions about her college experience or anything you want to ask her about her career, etc., then we would love for you guys to prepare some questions and maybe think of them as she talks. All right, and then I will pass it to our Toastmaster of the day, who is Angelina. And no, we do not have to do roll call for today.
Okay, thank you so much, Claire. So with that being said, I'll go ahead and introduce our first speaker of the night, which will be Kara. So Kara, take it away.
Thank you, Toastmaster Angelina. When an opportunity arose to travel to China for a month and study Mandarin while visiting historic and cultural attractions, my parents were thrilled for my sake. I, however, was more hesitant. I didn't want to leave the comfort of my home and go live on my own in a place where I didn't know a single soul. However, my parents were pretty persistent in convincing me, and when my friends joined in and were quite excited to do it, I decided, why not? I'll give it a shot. So I applied and I got in, and I was in for a packed schedule. First, we would be spending 3 weeks in Shanghai, where we would have classes in the morning, some afternoon activity, and then all of our meals on our own. Then we would be in Beijing and Hong Kong for a total of 1 week only, where we would have a bit of free time, but most things would be planned out for us. And so, 19 students, 2 of which were people I knew, set out for an experience of an entire month of being in China. And so we arrived. When I first got there, I was very nervous and exhausted. I had to figure out how to do the laundry in a communal laundry room. I had to figure out where to get water, and worst of all was food. My friend and I ate exclusively at Family Mart for 3 meals a day for the first week. I spent all my time with my childhood friend as well, and the 2 of us are introverts. So we barely went out when we were given free time because it took so much energy. And socializing also took so much energy. So we hardly talked to other people, even though we were with many students all the time. And so we spent a ton of time just in our dorm rooms. And while the entire city was right outside, we were too stressed to figure out how to call a taxi. So Shanghai passed in a blur, in a bit of a bad way. But still, there were certain moments that I enjoyed quite a lot. For example, we visited the gardens in Suzhou, which were stunning. And there was one night where we went to a claw machine with some friends, and we we each got stuffed animals that matched. And I spent a ton of time taking pictures with a camera that I was lent by my cousin before the trip, capturing the memories that we made. And so, while the others made friends quickly, I slowly got closer to a couple other people, and we formed a friend group together. One moment in particular was one that I regretted a lot as it was happening. I heard that there was a talent show, and when we received the news, I didn't sign up because I was scared. I didn't think anyone would want to do it with me, and I didn't want to do it alone. However, some of my other friends in the aforementioned friend group did decide to perform, and while they sang and I sat in the audience, I felt discomforted because it seemed like I didn't even recognize myself. Here I was in a new country surrounded by tons of new people, but instead of seizing the opportunity to perform like I might normally, I was shutting down and just being on my own. But still, as time passed, I did get closer to friends, and that was when we went to Beijing. And Beijing was a bit of a turning point in this trip, because there all of our meals were together, and all of our time was together with the whole group, because it was structured that way. And so then we began talking to each other more and more, and nearly constantly. And so at night, we started talking in the halls, and my sleep schedule started deteriorating as I stayed up late to talk to my friends more and more. And my pictures began to feature more and more different faces. And then we went to Hong Kong. We only had 3 days in Hong Kong, and we were starting to talk about what it would be like to part ways. You spend 4 weeks in one place with 19 people. And so you're kind of bound to get emotional when it all ends. And the last few days in Hong Kong were the best days, in my opinion. We all were, at that point, pretty comfortable with each other. And I even got my chance to perform. When somebody wanted to perform in front of a company, they wanted some people to do it with them, so I volunteered. And so we learned the choreography to What Is Love by Twice and got to perform that. And we took every opportunity we could to get outside. Also, we went to an art museum called M+, and while I didn't like the name, I liked the art that they had on display. And although other people lost interest pretty quickly, I persisted and listened, and I found that I wasn't shutting down anymore. I was engaging even though other people maybe weren't. And so we arrived at the last day. We tried to get out, but it was pouring, so the teachers made us go back inside. And we wasted a lot of time just in the hotel, but it was fun because we were wasting our time together. And we finally went to the airport to say goodbye. The goodbye was just for a few of us because most people were catching the same flights back to the US, but a few of us were staying in Hong Kong or on a different flight for various reasons. And so while people left a couple at a time, finally it was just me and my childhood friend who were the only people left to say goodbye. And at this point, I was shocked by everybody's reactions and the way they said goodbye, because even people that I had hardly talked to came over and they hugged me, and in the end, all of us gathered in a circle in very cheesy fashion and stuck our hands together completely unprompted and said 1, 2, 3 SHC, which was the name of the program. In the end, when I finally got home, I was happy to find that our group chat remained active, and Although I was sad that the experience was over, I got to send pictures to our friends, and we will be meeting up again at some point soon. And so, I didn't just live on my own in China. I struggled a lot at first, but eventually I learned to thrive on my own. I came back to school feeling a lot more confident in myself, and I'm more interested in putting myself out there now. So, here is my advice to you. If you're ever wondering if you should do something, here's this. Get out and join that class. Try that hobby. Touch that grass. On top of a month of exciting experiences, you might just earn a whole long life of benefiting from cultural and personal connections. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kara, for that speech about your experiences traveling abroad. So we actually will not be having our second speaker today, and we'll be moving on to a short table topic session instead. So I'll be leading the table topic session today, and I've just compiled some random questions, and there really is no theme today. So I'll ask the first question to Serena. And Serena, your question is, what's the strangest place you've ever fallen asleep? Serena, would you like to answer that question? Okay, if not, then does anyone want to volunteer to answer that question? Okay, if not, then I'll choose someone again. How about Ethan?
Okay. So for me, the the strangest place I've fallen asleep actually wasn't that strange. It was on a chair in the airport. So that night, me and my family were going to Hong Kong, China, and then everything was like very crazy. Our suitcases were all messed up. We might be late for our flight, but when we got there, we were actually early. It was like 9 p.m. in California time, but I was really tired because, of the long day of flying because we first had to fly from Texas to California. So I took my asthma inhaler and I tried to make myself comfy by putting my jacket on my head, but it basically had no use because the railings are like basically choking me and then yeah, thanks.
Yeah, thank you, Ethan, for your response. That has definitely happened to me before too. So the next question will be for Michelle. And your question is, what's the worst fashion or hair decision you've ever made?
The worst fashion or hair design decision I've made wasn't even made by me. It was made by my parents. You see, one fateful day when I was about to go to sleep, my parents decided it's time for a haircut. And they grabbed out their scissors, and you know what they did? They cut my hair. I look like a Dora the Explorer wannabe with the coconut cut. I was rocking that fit to school. It's a surprise I didn't get bullied. But that's all. Anyways, back to you, Angelina.
Yeah, thank you, Michelle. I also had a Dora haircut phase, but I can definitely relate to that. So the next question will be for Amelia. And your question is, what's the weirdest snack combination that you like to eat?
My weirdest snack combination I like to eat is probably ketchup with bread. I don't know, it's just me, but it kind of tastes good in my opinion. Like the bread is, because my mom does like the sweet bread, and then the ketchup just goes really well with it, and it kind of tastes good. Thank you, and back to you.
Thank you, Amelia, for your answer. I'll definitely try that sometime. So the next question will be for Serena. And your question is, if you had a house made out of food, what kind of food would it be?
If I had a house made out of food, it would probably be Italian food because I really like pizza and it would be really nice to come outside and see just pizza and pepperoni and cheese all over my house. And whenever I'm hungry, I don't have to run to the supermarket to get food. And I don't even need a DoorDash anymore because now I have this house made out of Italian food. Thank you, and back to you.
Thank you, Serena, for your answer. And I agree, Italian food does sound very good. So the next question will be for Jefferson. And your question is, what is one terrible gift that you have received that you had to keep?
Wait, let me think. So that one of the gifts that I got that I really didn't want was this book. So it's like a book for like learning and stuff. Then I didn't really want it, and then because I don't like doing homework or anything like that. But then my mom said, no, you have to keep it, you're gonna do it. And then yeah, I had to do the book, but yeah, when I receive gifts, I don't exactly like stuff that include learning. I just like the fun toys and stuff. Thank you. Back to you, Angelina.
Yeah, thank you for your response, Jefferson. And I agree. I also don't like receiving workbooks as kids. So the next question will be for Janya. And your question is, does your family have any weird traditions?
My family has many weird traditions, but one of them should be there's this place called Tirupati in India, and most of the people that go there like to shave their head, like go bald, and that's a tradition which has a story behind it, which is like the god one day went on a fight and lost his hair. So the people donate their hair to the god to have better hair. It's a summary of the story. So yeah, I got shaved so many times. And I think that's a different tradition from other traditions. Thank you, and back to you, Angelina.
Yeah, thank you, Janya, for your response. And I've actually never heard of that. So that was really interesting to learn about. The next question will be for Andrew. And your question is, if you could talk to any one species of animal, what species would it be?
Well, if I could talk to any one species of animals, I think I would go with birds. And because birds, they like fly around and then they like gather a lot of information. And plus, there's a bunch of them in like cities. So pretend I'm trying to like spy on someone. I just have like a bunch of birds to go fly over and check on what they're doing. Also, I could just have like any other animal, you can only talk to one of them. But since birds, there's like so many and they talk to each other, so I can just like find a group of birds and ask them a bunch of questions. So pretend I get lost someday and then I just ask birds and then they just help me get home. Also, I feel like birds are gonna be really fun to talk to because they aren't like some animals who aren't that like smart. And they're actually quite smart. So pretend I was talking to like an ant. The ant probably won't be able to make complete sentences. So that's the reason I would want to be able to talk to a bird.
Thank you, Andrew, for your response. And I agree, birds are probably a really good choice. So the next question will be for Caleb. And your question is, what fictional TV family do you think your real life family is most similar to?
The Simpsons.
Thank you, Angelina, for the question. I will actually confess to all of you here that I don't watch TV. And I'm not sure what it is for your family, but for my family and for myself, TV is simply, nicely put, a waste of time. Because truly, in life, there are many things that you can be doing. You can be studying, you can be learning a language, you can be practicing your instrument. And television is simply something that's trying to get your attention and keep it there. Have you ever noticed how little toddlers are sitting transfixed to the television screen? What do you think they are learning? They are simply learning whatever is on TV. And just because something is on TV, and maybe it's educational, doesn't mean it's necessarily good for them. What would be a lot better would be, for example, toddlers to read books. And this is something you can see with things like history. For example, back in the 1800s, when there was no such thing as TV, people were highly, highly intelligent. You can read of many people who graduated from such prestigious colleges as Harvard or Princeton at the age of 16. Think nowadays of someone having completed a college degree by the age of 16. That means you had to be brilliant, and the course material back then was incredibly difficult. For example, a 8th grade graduation test, which you had to take in order to graduate from 8th grade, was probably a lot, much more difficult than our modern day SAT or SACT, because it required not only mathematical knowledge, but also a huge amount of philosophical, literary, and basically a lot more in-depth works of literature than what today we are facing. And therefore, that is one of the reasons that I believe that television is a waste of time. And you can find other better things to do with your life than watch television. But that's just my 2 cents. Thank you, and back to you, Angelina.
Thank you, Caleb, for your response. I had a feeling you would say that, but I agree, television is not the best decision. So the next question will go to Eliana. And your question is, your question is, what is your favorite day of the year and why?
My favorite day of the year is, of course, Christmas, because there's no chance of having any school, like anywhere near that day. There's like good food, we get to see our family, our extended family, and well, the best part of that day is, of course, opening the presents. And then when we do that, we have the rest of the day to play with them or um, do them, and we don't have to do any work on that day. Additionally, around Christmas time, we usually travel, so that means another vacation. So that's why Christmas is, of course, my favorite day. Thank you, and back to you, Angelina.
Thank you, Eliana, for your response. And I also love Christmas as well for the reasons you mentioned. So the next question will go to Hillary. And your question is, what do you miss the most about being in elementary school?
What do I miss most about being in elementary school? Well, there's a lot of things to choose from. Firstly, I miss being not having to remember the different classes on each day. In elementary, I had the same two classes each day, first in my homeroom and then second my other class. Now that I'm in middle school, I have 8 classes and 4 different classes on A and B day, and I have to remember whether it's A or B day. Secondly, I miss recess. Do I really need to explain this? Recess, you can just chill and have fun. You can run around, you can read a book, you could even take a nap if you're really sleepy. And yeah, those are the things I miss most about being in elementary. Thank you, and back to you.
Thank you, Hillary, for your response. And I definitely agree that recess was probably one of the best things about elementary school. So the next question will be for Henry. And your question is, if you could have a theme song that played when you entered a room, what would it be?
Okay, so if I could have a theme song that played whenever I entered the room.
I am so sorry. I accidentally clicked that button. I am so sorry.
It's okay, it's okay. If I had a theme song that played whenever I entered the room, it would be the Imperial March or Darth Vader's theme from Star Wars. I think it is a beautifully composed piece. Also, according to me and many critic reviews, it also projects an aura of menace and how do I explain this? And authority. Also, I think the fact that I just really like Star Wars may have influenced my decision. But that's all the reasons why I want the Imperial March as my theme song.
Thank you, Henry, for your response. And I've actually never heard it, so I will make sure to listen to it sometime. And the next question will go to Howard. And your question is, what's the weirdest thing you have in your backpack or bag right now?
So currently my bag is genuinely quite normal, but if I right now, I guess the weirdest thing would be a pack of cards, which is nothing special, but we started a tradition back in my old school where we always kept a pack of cards on us. And whenever we had the chance, I remember we used to throw them at people, but the teacher stopped that a long time ago. There's nothing much to say because school only just started for me, and I haven't gone to putting my fun stuff in my backpack yet.
Yeah, thank you for your response, Howard. And that sounds like an interesting tradition that your school has. So the next question will go to Kara. And your question is, Would you rather live at Disney World or SeaWorld, and why?
This is quite an easy question for me. I would much rather live at Disney World than SeaWorld because whereas SeaWorld is kind of small and not really known for having great hotels, Disney World is huge and each of its hotels are different and offer something unique. For example, one of the hotels has animals if you look outside of your window that are quite nearby. And other hotels also offer unique experiences. And although I think that living in Disney World would have a much higher price, I assume that if I have enough money to live in SeaWorld 24/7, then money shouldn't be an issue. So I would much rather live in Disney World, and I would also have a great time enjoying the many attractions, which I love a lot at Disney World. Thank you.
Thank you, Care, for your response. And I also really like Disney World, so I would probably choose that as well. So the next question will be for Anthony, and your question is, what's one song that you like that no one else really talks about?
I don't really have a song that I like that nobody really talks about, because I don't really listen to any unpopular songs and stuff, so I guess my fit I don't really listen to songs, so uh
Okay, that's fine. Is there anyone else that wants to answer this question then? Oh, Kara.
Okay, I know I just talked, but I was just typing in the chat a recommendation, but I'll just say it now instead. So, I don't listen to a ton of underground artists because I don't know, I don't listen to that much music in general. I guess I'm not super interested in it, but one artist that I did discover who is not very well known, but who I think should be a lot more well known, is Sarah Kinsley. And a song by her that I would recommend is Escaper. Her album is titled Escaper, and the last song in the album is also called Escaper. And it's a very little known song, but it has really cool instrumentals and a good melody and good lyrics as well. And I would highly recommend it. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Kara, for that. I actually listen to music a lot, so I'll definitely check her out. Ethan, did you want to answer the question as well?
Yeah. So I used to like no, like I still really like this song by Shawn Mendes, although he's very well known, and the movie Lyle Lyle Crocodile is like 3 times more well known. The popularity, because since it was released in 2022, which was a long time back, its popularity has been plummeting. And so when I was watching the movie, and back then I was like third to fourth grade, I like literally fell in love with it. And then I'll still like it to this day, but if you go to my school and ask someone like, "Do you know what's Remake the Recipe by Shawn Mendes?" They will be like, "Huh, huh." And that's why, and that's why. Wait, and that's the my favorite song that no one talks about. Thank you, and back to you, Cara. I'm sorry, I mean Angelina.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you for your recommendation, and I'll definitely check that out as well. So those are all the questions that I had prepared. So now we can move on to our workshop speaker.
All right, yeah, thank you so much, Angelina, for stepping in and leading our table topics section for today. So I would love to welcome our workshop speaker for tonight, who is Selina. I know she was super busy, but we are so glad she's able to join us. Selina was able to, I believe, do a workshop for us before about some of her college experiences, and she's back again to do another wonderful workshop for us. So we are starting a little bit later than the expected time. So Selena, maybe you can just talk for a few minutes about yourself, and then we can also leave it open for questions. And I believe Selena recently graduated from NYU from the Tannen School of Engineering. So if anyone has any questions about NYU or her current career, I'm sure she would be happy to answer. So, with that being said, Selena, the floor is yours.
All right, thank you so much, Claire. Is as she was saying, I'm really sorry for being a little bit late, you guys. I think that you guys were doing what was it, those table topics to kind of make up for the fact that I was late. But yes, I'm here. I graduated from NYU this year, so like last May I walked commencement last May, and I was basically invited here to kind of talk about my NYU experience. Now I am currently doing this in my car as we speak, so I apologize that there's no like presentation or if it's a little bit messy with the topics. But I guess we can get started with sort of. Sorry, I just want to make sure you guys can hear me, right?
I
Okay,
can
great.
hear you.
Great. Thank you, Ethan. So yes, it is. I graduated from NYU 2 months ago. Started college in 2022, which means my application season was about like 2021, sort of a little bit early, a lot earlier than what you would have done. So a lot of my experiences I feel like might be a little bit different from yours. But if I can help you in any way by giving this workshop, I would love to. So I already did a workshop on applications. But if you guys want me to do another one, I would be fine doing that. But I'm sure you guys have new graduates who would be more than willing to do the application talk next year. But college was one of the best experiences of my life. I don't think I'll ever like have as fun of an experience as I did in college, just because of the freedoms that I was given moving like fully across the country from Southern California over to New York, especially in a city like New York where you can do almost anything and not even have to leave the city. That was definitely one of the most freeing experiences ever. So honestly, if I could have one piece of advice for you guys that I'm gonna try and hammer in today is just do the things you want to do. So when you go to college, it's going to be like basically, I think, the first time that most of you are going to be living for a long period of time without your parents and with like full control, almost full control over your own schedule. So make sure you're not just like sitting in your room all day and playing games, even though as much as I would love to do that as well, um, college is probably one of the best times for you to build a community with the people that you know. So, sorry, there is a fly in my car. But yes, build a community with the people that you know, just because it's probably one of the last times you're going to be in such a dense area with people your age and, having friends that are interested in the same things that you are. Do I have privacy issues with college dorms? Oh, yes, that's a good question. So it actually does depend. It does depend on your college. So I know that UCI does, they do like uh they do like public bathrooms. So you have your dorm, or there's some dorms in UCI that do this, some of them don't. But you have your dorm room, that's where you have your bed, and that's where you like do your work at your desk. But then you have to go outside into like this public bathroom, public showers, and take a shower there. So that is something that some colleges do. However, being at NYU specifically, a lot of the college or a lot of the dorms there were built based off of apartments. In fact, my college used to be a hotel, or my dorm used to be a hotel. So it was very much just like we didn't have any ceiling lights and our bathroom was inside the room. So it does depend on the college, but I didn't have any privacy issues with that. Also, it your roommate can make or break your year. So I would suggest trying to find someone like before school starts. I'm sure now, right now, or maybe even earlier, you guys could have done like roommate requests, and I'm sure if you can find somebody who like matches your vibe, that would be a lot better than like getting a random roommate who might just like absolutely ruin your year. Okay. I saw a private message. I'm not seeing it in my actual chat, but from what I could tell, it was basically what made you choose NYU. Um, so what made me choose NYU? I think it was very much the vibe. So I knew like internally I would not like a research school. I didn't know what else, just for a fact that I would not enjoy research school. So when I got all of my acceptances, and NYU was one of them, another one was Chapman, but they gave me like a really big scholarship. So it was a matter of like choosing, and also I got Boston University and Northeastern. So the thing that made me choose NYU first is something that I put into my college app. So I remember talking about this, but like when you're applying to college, you pick one thing about that school that you like and you say like, "Oh, I really like your school because of this one thing." So that one thing I actually did like, so that is something that made me choose NYU. But then the other thing is the fact that it was in the middle of New York. Like I adore the campus because there is no campus. I could just basically leave my dorm, like go down, leave my dorm room, take 2 flights of stairs down, and then be able to walk maybe 5 minutes and get Thai food, pho, tacos, a grocery store, so many things, and it's just within a 5 minute walk. So that's one thing that I loved about NYU, just the availability of everything. I will admit that the school itself, not that great. It was, I think it was mostly because of they were trying to do like some faculty changes, so a lot of our departments weren't really like stable when I was there. But I enjoyed the classes that I took. Um, where was I going with this? Oh yes, I wanted to talk about one of the a couple of the classes I took, just basically my experience, and how that might be able to apply to you. When you take classes, I'm sure everybody at this point knows about Rate My Professors. It's a website that students can review professors. And if they get a good review, you give them 5 stars, that means the professor's good. If you give them 0 stars, that means the professor is bad and you should not take them under any circumstances. So I will actually say, look at the Rate My Professors. They are accurate and they do help. If you don't have a choice but to take the one bad professor, my apologies, but if you can, look at the Rate My Professors, choose a professor that actually has like a good rating. But I can tell you that one of my professors that I took had a 1.3 rating, and they were giving out grades that I did not believe were reasonable. When I went to go talk to them to ask about like why did I get this grade, they were like, you know, not being able to give me an answer. So definitely check that. But also, what else? I'm sorry, this is very unstructured, but if there's like any other questions at like any time, feel free to tell them in chat or text. Yeah, put them in the chat. Okay. So yes, back to oh, how did I graduate in 3 years? Part of it was AP, part of it was overloading myself with way too many credits. Um, so gosh, there were so many things that I wanted to talk about and I'm forgetting them all. Um, my first semester, I went into NYU with my major as integrated design and media. That is more of like an art degree, I will admit. I enjoyed it a lot. It's a lot of creativity and how you can integrate science with it. Um, but that time, basically, I didn't like it, so I wanted to switch to CS. Once I got into CS, I had this like panic that was like, oh my God, I'm not going to be able to graduate on time. So I decided to overload myself with the maximum amount of credits possible. So like you can take 12 to 18 credits and it could be different from your school, but like 3 to like 6 classes and 6 classes is the maximum you can take. So I would take 6 classes, which is not smart and it's not smart because first of all, graduating early is not something that I recommend. Now that I've done it, I do actually suggest that you spend more time learning the things that you want to learn. So take it from me, someone who graduated early, you don't want to do it. Another thing is you don't have as much time to work on the things that you actually need to work on, so your grades do take a drop because you're taking that many classes. And I do think, especially if you're trying to go to graduate school, your grades do matter. So don't just like take as many credits as possible just to like graduate early, because you do also need the good grades. And then it was basically just overloading myself, and then I took one summer class. I know some people take like more summer classes, but I had AP credits, a lot of semester credits, and then I also did a summer course. What career path do you want to take and what do I plan on doing after college? So right now I'm doing like tech consulting. So it's basically like they hire me as this like um consultant for companies that are trying to do e-commerce. But I'm not sure if that explained it very well, but I'm basically doing like tech consulting with computer science. But I think in the future I'd want to do software engineering. That's one thing that I can recommend for you guys, which is another reason why I don't recommend graduating early, is that internships are very important, I think, for you guys especially. Um, a lot of companies nowadays, I'm sure you've heard like, oh my God, the job market's terrible. Nobody's hiring anybody. They are, it's just that they're mostly doing internal hires. So with entry level jobs, a lot of it is less about like finding an applicant in like this huge ocean of cold applicants. You don't know anything about them, so why would you choose somebody that you don't know over somebody who has already interned with you for like a couple months and you know that they do good work? So internships are pretty important, and a lot of the time you might be able to expect a return offer, especially if it's something related to a field that you're doing or if you're a junior or senior. So I basically skipped that summer of internship, an extra summer of internship that could have gotten me into like a full-time job. So I had to struggle to like apply to things, whereas if you had like an internship and a return offer, then you wouldn't have had to worry about that. So internships are something. Do not worry about rejection. Also, don't try and like do this because when I was applying for things, I got into my head about, oh, this application needs to be perfect. It needs to be the most tailored thing to this job as possible. But it doesn't. all you need to do is get an interview. Put anything on there as long as you're not lying. Just put something on there that's like true and just send out as many like resumes and cover letters as possible. Like use AI to help you if you need to. Don't just like obviously don't ask ChatGPT to write me a cover letter and then send that. You do have to like actually put some thought into it, but don't like beat yourself up saying this needs to be perfect. Just send out as many as possible. Get an internship and that is your foot in the door. Like anything works. Just do something. That's basically my like serious heavy recommendation for all of you. How do I balance school life and social life? So a lot of this also has to do with the fact that I was in New York, so it was very much like we could just do anything. Like my friends and I were very much like, "Hey, I found this cool thing online. Do you want to go do it with me?" And we'll go like on the weekend or something. As for how I personally balanced it, I don't think I did very well. Um, Especially because like towards the end of my career in college, I started prioritizing my fun over grades. It's not that I didn't get like A's, it's just that they were borderline A's. Like I was getting like a 92, whereas I used to get like a 95 or something. Um, I think it's a matter of knowing what you need to get the grade you want. So I think with your first semester, a lot of people either underestimate it, severely underestimate it, or severely overestimate it. And then based off what you do there, that kind of sets your tone for the rest of the semester. So the idea is if you overestimate something, you study too much, and then you like get like 100, but then you like had no work-life balance, don't just immediately go and flip a 180 and like go party. Like I would say keep like do as much as you feel like you need to do, but don't like if you're thinking, "Oh, I have this homework due, I have this homework due," and then you go and party, that's an issue, I think. But if you're like, oh, "I don't really have anything to do. I could be studying or I could party." It's just a matter of have I been studying or do I need to like go out and have some fun? So just like knowing internally that you need to keep studying or you need to finish this homework versus like I have some time, let me go have fun. So don't like throw your life away partying, but also know that you don't have to make your life all about studying. Because a 4.0, like a 3.9, 3.8 versus a 4.0, it's not really going to affect much, especially if you have like the work experience to back it up. If you're only doing school and you get that 4.0, great, good for you. But if you're like also doing like personal projects, so like exploring things that you're passionate about. So like mine was games, so I would just make a lot of games in my spare time. That is something that I could work on kind of balancing my life, but you know, it's just a matter of knowing yourself. How did I decide on a career? Uh, that's a good question. I don't think I really like well, my career path kind of was decided when I went into college for CS. I did that because I wanted to do game development. Um, that I chose because I liked watching my brother and his friends play games. So I wanted to basically make something that they could play and enjoy. And it was like, oh, I'm making a difference in these people's lives. So if we get down to the nitty-gritty, it's genuinely a matter of I want to make a difference in people's lives. I want to do something that matters. And then higher level is just like it was something that I like wanted to do. So I think I got lucky and I chose something that I was passionate about very early on. Along those lines, what are the good and the bad about the field you're working in? Does it meet your expectations? So, oh, heavy question. Right now, I think I'm pretty happy where I am just because of my company culture. It's we're very we're very nice, I guess. Very free, very you're allowed to do like you can come in at 8:30 or 10 as long as you work 8 hours. As for how happy I am with it, the career itself, I'm not like super happy, but I'm still applying. That's another thing. Even if you get something, don't stop applying, don't stop doing the things, don't stop chasing your passions. So that's what I am doing. I am after work, I usually work on some game development things, and then I also keep applying to things. So I'm still updating my resume, I'm still sending out resumes, and hoping that I get a response. Any tips for interviewing? I think it depends on what you're interviewing for. Because my primary experience is interviewing for software engineering jobs, so SWE jobs. A lot of the time with those, they won't even consider talking to you face to face until you've done a coding assessment. So preparing for that is probably, I have experience with that. I can tell you do leak code. But in terms of preparing for a behavioral interview, perhaps, where they like ask about your personality, that I might say look at your resume or your college projects, which by the way, you should put your college projects on your resume. It like shows your experience. Um, Looking at your college projects, basically, don't exactly outright lie, but if there's a situation where if it was slightly worse, it would make for a good story, then make the situation slightly worse. So look at your experiences, find stories. So if they ask, "Oh, give me an example of a time you like helped a conflict," or "Give me an example of a time you taught someone something," just think back onto those experiences. If there's something that even remotely relates to the question, just start talking about it. Obviously, don't say like, "Oh, I'm really desperate to get this job and I'm like lying to you," but behavioral interviews are a practice. If you want to, I would say like look online for resources. They have like a lot of resources to help you. That would probably help you a lot more than I could help you right now. Um, any tips on finding a software job? Back to the internship thing. Um, I mean this so seriously. Just send out as many resumes as you can, just trying to get an internship. If you have to move, then you might as well move, but just get that internship, get that foot in the door. And then once you have that work experience, then you can use that as leverage in your next interviews as like, I have experience working in software, so you should hire me. Other things, leak code to practice for your technical interviews. Um, what else? What else? Personal projects, I'm sure might help, but I genuinely believe that an internship helps a lot more than personal projects. If you don't have an internship, then get that personal project going. It could be anything as long as it's showcasing that you have like some experience in some language, some things, right? Maybe you can like look online to see a job listing that you really like, look at their tech stack and try and develop something on your own. That is something that I did. I didn't end up getting the job, but I at least got an interview. Um, what do you expect for your career in the next 10 years? Ooh, I don't really know. I'm really hoping because right now I work over in Discovery Park, which is basically where Blizzard is. So, hopefully I can get into Blizzard, work on some Overwatch or Diablo, but, who knows? I don't really know where I'm going in the next 10 years. Hopefully either Blizzard or New York, but we'll see. A lot of things are volatile right now. What can high schoolers do to better prepare for college? Oof. I think having something that you're passionate about. Obviously, I applied to college many years ago, 3, 4 years ago by now. So I have hindsight as well. So a lot of my stuff comes from a place where I'm like, I don't have the same investment in this problem as you do, but looking back on it, I think the thing that got me into NYU was my passion about the things that I wrote about. So I wrote about making a game, developing a game, and I also wrote about why I really wanted to go to New York. And I think I was able to convey my passion through those like essays. And also NYU specific thing. They love intersectionality. So like if you can connect two things, like if you're into art, if like your hobby is like art, but you want to go into like mechanical engineering, do something mechanical engineering related that helps you like that is art. So maybe like make a robot and then like make the robot draw something with like an erase or like with a pencil or something. So basically find this is very NYU specific. I can't really speak for other schools, but I'm sure it's like kind of the same. Just like find something that can combine your hobbies versus the thing you want to do. It's basically showing schools that you know what you want to do and you should accept me. How to find extracurriculars? Ooh, um, I can tell you I found my extracurricular just from friends. It might be different nowadays, but like when I was in high school, a lot of my friends would very much be like, "Oh, this is what I'm doing. Do you want to like come join me?" So my main extracurricular that I think got me into well, no, my main thing that got me into college was like a game that I made. But the extracurricular that took up the most space in my resume was a robotics team. So, first robotics competition. I basically participated in that for 4 years, and I think it might have showed my dedication or something. I don't really know how else to find extracurriculars because I very much got mine through like hearing what friends did. Describe a day in the life at college. Ooh, okay. Um, College is fun because you get to basically choose your own schedule. Obviously, there's some restrictions where like they don't offer a class that you need to take at any time you want. There's only a set number of times, but it is very much structured time but also at the same time entirely unstructured. It's structured in the sense that, okay, you're going to take this class at this time, this class at this time. But then outside of that, nobody cares what you do. You could stay up until 3 a.m. and then wake up at like 2 p.m. the next day to go to class, and it's totally fine. So, yeah, a lot of you might have like 8 a.m.s. Try not to skip them. If you do, it's not the end of the world, but try not to skip your 8 a.m.s. You don't get marked for coming late. It depends on the class. So sometimes teachers don't care. Sometimes your professors are just like, if you attend lecture, you attend lecture. If you don't, then you fail the midterm, and your grades are entirely based on midterms. So some classes will say like, uh, some professors will not care that much but some will. So it's just a matter of like what class you're taking. It does depend by professor. Okay, I'm gonna try and describe a day in the life of at NYU, what I remember it being like, maybe in the last semester or something. So I would usually wake up a couple hours before my class starts, just so I can make breakfast and get ready to go and get to class or get to school early. Because Oh, I think a lot of schools do this, but the more classes you take, the more priority you get in class selection. So I was able to choose classes that started at like 11 a.m. So I'd wake up at like 9 and then I'd like eat breakfast, go to school, take a class, and then I'd have like a long break. I would basically sit in a cafe because a lot or like the library. A lot of schools will have just like hidden nooks and crannies where you can just sit and like do work. It's great. Try and find one of those. Try and find explore around the school first couple of weeks. Just like try to find something that you can like where you can sit and do work and not be bothered by people. So for some people that's a library. For me it was a cafe or it was a lounge that was restricted to computer science students. So I would work there for a little bit, go take another class. I'd like eat dinner, And then I'd go back to my dorm, I'd do more homework, and then I'd go to sleep. It was very much like, it was very, very, very routine in the sense that I would just go to school, do homework, relax if I had the time to, then go to sleep. I very much prided myself on having 7 hours of sleep per day. So it was very much like school, work, sleep.
So were you satisfied with it?
I think I was satisfied with it because usually on like the weekends, I was able to spend a little bit more time like playing games, hanging out with friends, all that kind of stuff. Did I ever pull an all-nighter? Oh my God, I'm so glad you asked. Yes. Um, because my last, or obviously I pulled like multiple over the course of my 3 years there, but it was mostly in my first semester and then my last semester because my first semester was full of project classes, and then my last semester was also full of project classes, specifically my senior thesis and a grad level class. So a lot of the project-based classes I would pull all-nighters for, but um, I missed a question from Devin. What are you most grateful for right now? Oh gosh. Don't know. I think being able to work close to home and having time to work on my own personal projects. I think I got really, really lucky finding the job that I did because it's so close to home and because they have such a good work-life balance that I'm able to like, enjoy myself while also enjoying the job and while also preparing for my next one. Um, yeah. Are there any other questions? What are my thoughts on the impact of AI on CS? Okay, so I'm gonna open my door because it's getting a little hot in here. But I think AI in college is a lot different than AI in your work environment or AI in the industry. AI in college is very much no, don't do it. Don't ever do the AI. You're gonna get marked with a 0 if we catch you using AI. And that kind of mindset like does sink into you, like, oh, I gotta hide the fact that I'm using AI and like just try your best to like change the chat GPT answers just enough where that it doesn't look like it was generated by AI. In the industry, it is a little different. Most people are very much like, okay, in order to maximize efficiency, we want to use the best tools that we have. And a lot of the times right now, the best tool is AI. So it's a lot more open about it, but obviously, like, the more you learn about computer science, the more you realize that the stuff ChatGPT or like Cursor spits out actually does need your input on it. Because with college, it's very much like an isolated environment. This is what I need you to do, and then it spits out a function. You copy the function, and that's 100%. But in like a work environment, it's a lot more involved. So you can use the AI to kind of help you with things. Um, in terms of like finding a job, I don't know, it probably has impacted the job market significantly. Just from my experience, I'm like struggling to find like CS heavy jobs just because a lot of the developers are working with AI. They're not being replaced by AI, I don't think. They're working with AI, which means you need less developers to do a thing. Um, yeah, I think AI definitely has had some impact on the job market, but maybe it's just my environment. I don't think it's as awful as most people say it is, but also a lot of people are just like using AI and then like getting paid and not doing much else. So I don't know. I don't think I've been in the industry long enough to say definitively good, bad. What was the most memorable day in college? Good question. I'm trying to remember. I think I think maybe the most memorable day in college was the day of our final presentation in a small class. So, depending on the school you go to, if you go to a public school, maybe the class sizes will be bigger. But because I went to a private school and the class just like wasn't very popular, I enjoyed it a lot. I was in a class called Experimental Game Narratives, and there were only like 6 people in the class, including me. So like 5 other people. And it was a super tight-knit class because we would get together like for 2 hours every other day and we'd work together a lot. So like the final presentation day, it was very much just us having fun and like goofing off, showing off the things that we worked hard on and giving each other feedback, saying goodbye to the people who were graduating and, you know, just presenting a semester's worth of hard work and like being surrounded by people who like genuinely appreciate you for who you are, I think was probably very memorable for me. Okay, any other questions? Anything else you want to hear from me? Really seeing anything else? Or maybe. So, yeah, no, I think if that's it, if oh, Caleb, did you raise your hand or?
Yeah. Well, thanks for coming up, of course, but one piece, what is your one piece of advice that you would give to anyone in this club?
Um, I feel like because I I am like so job oriented right now, um, don't be afraid of failure because a lot of the time, no, like the person who said you failed doesn't even remember you. So I'm talking about like job applications or like internship applications. The person who said no to you probably didn't even like look at your resume. So don't take it to heart. It's genuinely at this point kind of like a numbers game. Um, if you apply to something that you really, really want and you put your heart and soul into it and you still don't get it, try again next year. You can always, always, always try again. Or you can talk to somebody who like has the position that you want or works in the company that you want to work on. Talk to them, see what their insights are, like how they got the job maybe, if they can refer you maybe. Um, and then try again. I will say that I think one of my biggest regrets is that I was a little bit too scared of failure. So every time I get like a rejection, I'd be like, "Oh no, I did something wrong. I have to go back and fix it, fix all my entire resume. I have to study harder. I have to do better next time." And it's very much not that. It's just that you didn't get lucky. It's the same thing with college. You got lucky to get into the college that you got into. You deserve to be there, but the fact that they chose you is luck. So it's the same thing with your internships, your jobs. You deserve to get that job, but whether you get it or not is a lot of it has to do with luck. So yeah, just keep trying. Don't put too much don't put too much like stock into one thing. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Obviously, like polish your resume, polish everything that you can. But if they say no, if you've polished it the best you can and they still say no, that's fine. Try again. Go somewhere else, try again. So yeah, I think that's my resume. Sorry, that's my advice. Don't be afraid of getting a no, and if you do, just try again. Anything else? Well, I feel like I have to pass it back to somebody. That's the
All right.
Toastmaster way, right?
Yeah, thank you so much, Selena, for your workshop. I know we did go a little bit over time, but it was so interesting and you provided so many detailed advice answering all of the plentiful questions that our members had. So thank you so much for your time. We all know you're quite busy. And thanks again for sharing all of your experiences. We definitely wish you the best of luck in your career. And we would love for you to come back in the future. Maybe you can give another workshop and update us about all of your
Oh
career.
no, no, you guys should do workshops. Get somebody who graduated. Get someone who's going to college to talk about college. I feel like I'm too like I'm very much not it. But honestly, good luck. I'm like really proud of you guys for graduating. I couldn't make it to this senior send off a couple weeks ago, but you know, I'm really proud of you guys for all like sticking to it, graduating, and like getting into college. And then from there, doesn't matter where you're going, keep working hard, keep doing your thing. Don't give up, and I believe in you guys. I know you can do it.
Yeah, thank you so much, Selena, for your words of encouragement. We truly appreciate your time again. And we would, of course, love for you to come back in the future. Actually, our seniors who just graduated, they, I believe, did do a workshop about college apps. So we'd love to hear all of the advice that all of our wonderful and smart Toastmaster members have, and our alumni as well. So thanks again for your time. I don't want to hold everyone back anymore. So if there are no other questions or comments, we will see each other next Wednesday.
Can I just say something real quick?
Yeah.
So next time for the workshop, can you try to invite Ethan or William, like the old, like old seniors? I mean, you know what I mean.
Yeah. Yeah, of course. So yeah, they just recently graduated. I believe they did host a college application related workshop. I'm not sure, Ethan, if you were present at that, but I believe the recording is also uploaded on our YouTube. I know both of them have very busy schedules since they're going into their first year of college, but if you guys are interested in another workshop, we can of course invite them back to talk about whatever you guys are interested in. All right, yeah, thanks, Ethan, for the question. And as always, per tradition, Selena, I will send you your certificate of appreciation just for doing tonight's workshop. So again, thank you so much, everyone. I know we're about 20 minutes past our usual time, so don't want to hold you guys back. So yeah, with that being said, everyone, we will see each other next Wednesday. Bye, guys.
Great, thank you. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
You.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Bye.
Thank you, Selena. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.